Hey, welcome to Text Me When You Outside, the podcast celebrating the past and present leaders of nightlife, live entertainment, and hospitality. I'm one of your hosts, Brandon McEachern, followed by my co-host,
Marcus Allen.
Let's get it going. What up? We are back here for a special episode. Text Me When You Outside. Usually I got my other host, Marcus Allen, but today is a special episode. It's just myself, Brandon McEachern. We have a very, very, very special guest here today. Somebody that I would say that I obviously looked up to this brother on my way up in the game. But man, a cultural maven, you know what I mean? Like, this dude is phenomenal. You know what I mean? Everything from hosting to community to just putting it all together, man. He's one of the GOATs of this culture. And I am pleased to announce my big brother, you know what I'm saying? Kenny Burns. Bless.
My brother, Brandon. What's up, baby? Chocolate City's finest. Kenny Burns here to report. For
sure, man. Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time, man. And just to give you kind of a back burner on this podcast, the consensus was, Kenny, that there's so many conversations about sports. You know what I'm saying? Music, this, that, to the third, right? But I felt like nobody was really having those conversations when it came to folks like ourselves, right? Community organizers, promoters, people that actually bring this culture together, right? So we wanted to create this podcast to just highlight and get some knowledge, you know what I'm saying, from brothers like yourself. And, I watched a couple, I watch all your interviews. I just watched the one with Ray Daniels. Shout out to Ray Daniels. I just met him a while ago. You know what I'm saying? Much respect to you, Ray. It was a great interview, by the way.
Thank you.
And I hate to ask some of those same questions, but for those of you who don't know about this brother Kenny Burns, I mean, this guy, and everybody talks about the whole lifestyle specialist thing and all that. Yeah. And that's something that we can go into, but I want to hear from the very beginning, the district, you know what I'm saying? Kenny Burns, like, who is this dude that, took the DC culture? And I mean, dog, you one of the creators of Freaknik. We'll get into all that.
For sure.
So where does it begin at, Burns? My bad. Where does it begin at, man? You know what I mean? Like, where you from? The district, but whatever.
I'm from the original Chocolate City, as I said in the opening, Washington, D.C. And I've also been in the new Chocolate City, which is Atlanta, since 1992, since I was 18 years old. And, I'm a maven of DC street culture. My dad was in it, and I say DC street culture because we had our own music and go-go. We had our own style, which many people in the late 80s and early 90s took and adapted to music, from Herbie Lovebug with the go-go sound that, he made all the hits for Salt and Pepper. And I mean, even Heavy D, with Andre Harrell, one of my great mentors. He had Mr. Big Stuff that was a go-go sound. We just had our own thing, and it was beautiful because we had one of the biggest and brightest historically black colleges and universities as our backdrop. And if anybody knows anything about DC is literally 10 miles by 10 miles. So everybody knew each other. Every hood knew about the other hoods. And it was a real respect thing, honestly, growing up in DC until the crack era hit. And, being raised with a single mother, my mother's like my sister, best friends to this day. And, we're only 20 years apart. So,
wow.
You can imagine growing up in DC with a fly mama who outside, what I'm saying? Daddy, not with my mama, but he's a hustler. So we got the same name, serves me, right? I was at Houston's yesterday here in Atlanta, and an older woman, my wife and I were talking to her. She's like, I know your daddy. Everybody know your daddy got arrested. And so, I had a lot of, energy in the streets growing up just because of my mom and dad. And then, as I decided to make my own way, I was playing ball and stuff at Wilson. It's now called Jackson Reed. That's amazing. You're getting older when a high school
that changed names.
But Wilson was a racist. Woodrow Wilson was a racist, and they decided to name it after, someone black. So big shout out to them for taking those steps. And, I wanted to be on the court. I hooped senior year. I also wanted to be in the streets heavy, you know what I'm saying? And got locked up my senior year in high school, lost whatever opportunities I had to play ball. And, I had to do some serious thinking. And, fortunately, my cousin was going to Morehouse the next year. Okay. And I was on papers. I tried to play ball again at Montgomery County Junior College or Community College, whatever it's called now. And, the hooping thing just wasn't working out. And so 92 spring, my cousin was like, dog, you need to come to Atlanta, man. They got this shit called Freaknik. This is the biggest, blackest thing you ever seen. I was like, what is this magical place you speak of? What is a Freaknik? I am in need of this energy. Like I'm in DC about to get back into the bullshit. I need to get away. Yeah. And so, I went to Freaknik 1992 and it changed my life. Wow. And it was because I saw so many black people like myself. Now, mind you, being from DC, but having moved, I lived in Detroit for 4 years during my childhood. So I had great friends in Detroit. Yeah. And when I got down there, I knew people, even from Oakland, California, because my mom and I lived in San Mateo, California for a year. My mom was a Rolling Stone child. It's a whole book. What? I need to write about her motherfucking ass. She's the original lifestyle specialist. Yeah. So anyway, I knew people from around the country just because, back then there was no social media. So you really, if you met people in these settings, which I lived in these places. So I actually had time there and I knew these people and they got to know me and I left a lasting impression on them. So by the time, some of us linked back up in the AUC. I was from different places. I knew him he from Detroit. He from DC, so, but it was love, to say the least, man. And I took that love and took Puff's blueprint and what I saw him do at Howard University when we were in high school. And we were going, we were in the street buying champagne, Moet White Star at the clinic. Like, who these young motherfuckers? So
yeah, and how old would Puff have been versus you? Like, was you like a senior in high school?
In high school, I was like a sophomore when Puff was at Howard.
Got it.
But we were in the streets, so we were just fly youngins. We put that shit on. Big shout out to Mark Barnes and Danny Davis and God rest his dead Steve Solomon. They used to let us in the clubs. Big shout out to Monty Wanzer, Biz's old manager. They had him and Tony had a sound lighting company. We used to carry the crates to sneak into the joints. Wow. So we had a whole like early start, you know what I mean? And we wasn't scared of work. Even though we was in the streets, like if Monty was like, come carry these crates for Biz, because back in the day it was records. He was carrying records city to city.
Yeah.
Man, whatever we needed to do to get in the party, because once we got in the party, we were still buying champagne, had that shit on. You know what I'm saying? And then when Biz wasn't looking, I'd take that motherfucking mic, and that was the beginning, the hosting shit too.
Yeah, I was going to say, so it's two things that I wanted to ask you. This is from my own personal standpoint. Yeah. Yo, you stay drippy, right? Like, you stay drippy. I don't think I've ever seen you. I've been around you in person. I've watched you on interviews, and I'm not saying this to be funny. You see my voice isn't going high, none of this of that nature. Where did that come from? Just in terms of you always knowing like, yo, I'm going to put this together. Yo, you always together, King. And I'm pretty sure that people say that to you often. Like,
yeah, I get it. You know what I mean? I appreciate it and I receive it.
Yes, sir.
And I'm going to keep doing it to these motherfuckers till I can't do it no more. But I think it was DC, man. I think, growing up in the 80s was a very special time.
I wore this shirt for you today. It's a Joe Freshgood shirt, but it reminded me of what you was probably on. They got on New Balance and all that. I was like, yo, Kenny, appreciate this.
I love it. It looks like the backdrops that, Abdul used to shoot or Mr. G back in the day. And real DC cats know about them. But, it was my father too, man. My father used to have the clothes, man, with the stolen clothes come over once a month. You know what I'm saying? He was in the streets heavy. He always had the ladies. And so, I just saw a lot of game earlier. When I was in the 10th grade, my mama friend was offering me bricks for $11,000 and it was $27,000 in the street. So like just different things. I was privy to a lot of information early. And it just kind of set me on a trajectory, honestly, in the best way possible. And I think God has a funny way of teaching us lessons. And to be locked up at 18, just when I just turned 18, actually. And so it was like, you're an adult, you can go do adult time. Obviously I was in the Fed realm of things as far as time. And then you like look at it like, damn, okay, cool. This was the sign. Like, bro, you great with people. Like I could go to any strip in DC. And if you know anything about DC, ain't nobody, unless you moving weight and selling this, that, and the third, you couldn't just pull up on nobody's block. But everybody fuck with me. You know what I mean? So I took those skills And I always used to say this early on in my career to all the street guys I turned into corporate guys, you know, if you could sell that, you could sell anything. And that was my mantra, you know what I'm saying, coming up in the game, because, you know, we just get told so many false narratives of who we should be. You know, I remember one time my brother Sabe, you know, he had a little man I gave some work to, and it was the time I had to put the work in because he was fucking up the, you know, whatever. And I took him in the Roy Rogers bathroom on Georgia Avenue, right across from where the Safeway is now.
Wow.
And I was beating the brakes off this, but I felt so bad. You know what I mean? Brandon, I felt so bad. You know what I mean? And when you think about life and who you supposed to be versus who you trying to be, it's God shows you, life shows you that ain't it. You know what I mean? So I think that, you know, you learn these things and you grow from these things. You know, I don't know one person in business that hadn't had some kind of difficulty in making decisions or started out in some illegal shit and got legal. I mean, you could look at Donald Trump, you could look at whomever's in charge. I'm guaranteeing you with some gangster shit going on somewhere down the line. And I don't know too many people, honestly, that get right, because a lot of the times when you're on that trajectory and you get to them places, the bullshit stay with you. I'm just glad that the bullshit got up and out of me.
Word. So when you speak on, you know, when you were locked up, obviously coming up, where do you feel like that gift of gab came from, right? Like, you have something called charisma, right?
Thank you.
When I say that, when did you start noticing that? Like, was this after you got locked up or a little bit before? You noticed it at 13, 14? Like, yo, hold on. Like, it's not just my gap that they like. I'm saying, like, you know what I mean? Like,
I could talk myself in and out of things. And I think I learned that very early, because I was with the shits in that era, because I grew up light-skinned, in a light-skinned, dark-skinned, like, turbulent time. And it was always like, I'm going to whoop your ass before you know what I'm saying? Figure out like how, you know what I mean? Because it was just a on site thing, you know. You like skin, gonna treat you, and you better do something. Don't nobody put their hands on you. And you being told this in the second grade. What do you mean? Like, we're kids, right? You know what I mean? But it's like, you better punch them in the face. You better do something to them. And if they don't go down, you better put them down. And all the things. You're being taught this, and that's why, like, I'm so passionate about, you know, our friendship and doing this podcast for you and all the young brothers that are we were taught all the wrong shit, B. You know what I'm saying? And growing up, and most people don't get chances to get right. You know what I'm saying? And I think I learned early that, you know, by getting in trouble, you know, life will teach you what books could never. For sure. You know, by going through the motions, trial and error in court and real life, you see what's for you and not for you. And that's why, like, I be so mad, like my youngins and some of my mentees, you know, they promoting all this bullshit music that's out. You know what I'm saying? It breaks my heart on some levels, because we talk every day, or would talk every day, if they wasn't involved in the life. You know what I mean? Because they know I'm not co-signing that shit. I'm not supporting. You can't call me for no sponsors, no relationship when it comes to that. Anything else. But, you know, when you got kids, man, that could be affected by that, man. Because I'm looking at myself. I'm a experiment. I mean, we came out of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? You know, the boom bap, it was ability, it was charisma, it was style. When I look at Run DMC, who first put me in the game, you know, as far as my sonic lyricism, energy, you know what I'm saying? I mean, if you hear it's like that, right? Unemployment at a record high. People and people born to die. Don't ask me, because I don't know why it's like that. And so when you coming up in that, and you're like, damn, that's as real as it get, and it's circumstantial. And then I get Eric B and Rakim, and then LL Cool J in 87 at the same time. You got I Need Love. When I'm alone in my room, sometimes I stare at the wall, and in the back of my mind, I hear my conscience call, telling me I need a girl who's as sweet as a dove. For the first time in my life, I see I need love. And then you got, in the same year, you had Bad. No rapper can rap quite like I can. I take a muscle-bound man and put his face in the sand. And then what did it for me, this was a man that was not a drug dealer. He was actually spiritual. I think it was 5% or 7% or whatever it was back then. But Rakim, he would look like a dope boy, but he didn't curse. I was a fiend before I became a teen. I melt the microphone steady cold as the ice cream. Like, he was bars. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, I come from that.
Yeah.
I come from that. So when I see the things now, I got every right to say what the fuck I want to say about it.
For
I got
sure.
every right.
One of the things I've heard you say, just through you speaking through your journey, is like, fucking with your cousin, right?
Yeah.
The somebody putting you on, right? And you being young and having the know-how and being smart enough to like listen to older cats, right? So like, where you think that came from, or what advice I guess you would give to some of these young niggas out here, all of us who trying to make something out of nothing? Because to your point, a lot of us don't listen to y'all. We just be on some shit like, man, I ain't listening to, you know what I mean? Like, and that's detrimental, I think, personally. You know what I mean?
Without question. And I want to say this. A lot of people do listen to me. It's funny.
Yeah, for sure.
When I get off with you, I'm about to post this thing because I'm doing this monthly event in Atlanta. And I was looking at my all of my platforms and with the age range of the people that listen to me. Mm-hmm. And 40% is 35 to 45.
Wow.
That's not my age group.
No.
Second is my age group. And then third at 20-something% is 25 to 34. Wow. And I think the reason I connect so much is because I don't talk over people's heads. Mm. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a real OG. There's never been a time when none of my youngest couldn't call me for the free game or for the manufacturer, the distributor, the designer, the whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that to me that's the only misstep. You know what I mean? With the OGs. The OGs want to be the youngest. Mm. You trying to stay hot in some shit that you're not like me. It's no way I'm talking about I'm signing no artist today. Mm-hmm. They don't want to hear the shit I want to listen to. So I'm not even going to put myself in that position. But at the same time, I know that the Scissors, the Summer Walkers, even the Lottos with the ability to rap and the ferocious ability and talent, it's there. Look at Lotto right now. Lotto done went from the sex whatever to she's starting to pull back. Right. She's starting to understand the value. She's growing up. Yeah. She growing up. So I think that like we not in a detrimental place. But when I do speak of the Kodak Black sometimes, the Sexy Red, it's the destructive thing that you're doubling down on. And they've gone as far as supported Trump. So there's a whole ideology there that you about the money and about this moment and not about culture.
For sure. So I'm going to tell you, because it's interesting, right? Like when you think about where we at in the game, if I speak about, say, like a Broccoli City, right? And having a program like a festival that we do, right? On one side of the game, I gotta move tickets, right? No I gotta sell tickets. On the other side of the game, I got my mind and what I think is fresh and what I think is dope, right?
Yeah.
So it's always like
it's a tug of war.
It's always a tug of war, yeah, to your point. And now it's more so like, and I feel like you do this, but leaning on the youngs, leading on the youths around you to figure out like, yo, what y'all listening to? What y'all on? You know what I mean? But to your point, a lot of this shit is wild. And
yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's not only wild, it's to the point where ignorance is becoming our culture. You know, it's like Migos. When they came out with the word culture and named their project Culture, that's the first time I had to stop and be like, damn, where are we? Now, I love the Migos. I think cadence, flow, I think style, I think ushered in a whole new generation. I think they're very talented. And if you listen to them, they actually talk about shit sometimes.
For sure.
But at the same time, it's like, well, what is our culture? Like culture in the 60s was civil rights. It was equality. It was knowing your heritage. It was, you know, obviously fashion and all the other subsects that creates culture. But then when you fast forward today, it's money. Because if you look at the higher, you know, the overarching messaging in anything black, it's money.
Money. Yep.
And if money's defining, that means you will sell whatever. You basically the motherfuckers that sold black people on the voyage here. You basically motherfuckers that will sell a mama or sell out you know what I'm saying? In my opinion. And so I encourage you not only to keep having dialogue, but also too to keep imparting yourself and your beliefs in your brand. Because the one thing that I could tell you right now, B, in my 40s, I became the man I'm supposed to be. And that's, you got to imagine, I did some cold shit before 40. Rockefeller before 40. Yes, Bab, all the things I've ever done, pop culture leaning, were before 40. But 40, I became the best version of myself because of my passion and purpose aligning. And when that happens, you just don't have no room. That's why, like, I ain't mad at my youngest for signing these motherfuckers. I mean, listen, you have to provide for your family. You know what I'm saying? I don't see you, you know, sacrificing your integrity to do it, I don't see you. I see you making a way. And I can respect that. I might not fuck with the music you making, but I can respect you, you know what I'm saying, doing you. But at the same time, I think we all know, especially when you become parents, it's just a line in the sand that you have to draw.
That you got to draw.
And that's where I'm at in life. If you look at my podcast now, The Kenny Burns Show, available on all platforms, I'm speaking truth to power. And it's all community based. I'm not making it about no interviews. I don't interview everybody from your favorite rapper to the president of the United States. And everything in between. Local, state office, you know what I'm saying? Whatever.
Yeah.
Feel me? And I have nothing to prove in that game.
Yeah.
All I have to give now is everything I've ever learned and or experienced, and I want to give it away.
Yeah, no, and I can see that. I can tell by the interview. I can tell by what we doing right now. But like, let's go back to like when you're in Atlanta, right? Yeah. You just get to Atlanta, right? You see the Freaknik shit. Wow, this shit is crazy. Yeah. What I wanted to know was like, how did you learn, or how did you figure out how to monetize the whole party scene? Because I feel like you was the first one to start curating, I want to say, like IPs, and it wasn't just like a party, it was like a brand of some sort, you know what I mean? But essentially the shit was a party, you know what I'm saying? But had a way to make that shit sound like caviar, you know what I mean?
No, B, you're getting good at this. I think that what people need to understand is that branding is the momentum. Branding is what will keep you in play, right? And I think when we were in college, Kenny Burns was the name, but 2620 was the brand. And I mean, it got so big in Atlanta, they was breaking in dorms, stealing our clothes. We had hockey jerseys, we had basketball jerseys, we had T-shirts, we had hats, we had all these things in 1993.
And when you say we Burns, who is this? It's you?
So 2620 was me, my cousin Leo Williams, my brother Sabe Burnett, GJ, George Hickman, Wendell White, and Damon Dorsett. And then we had other members like Lenny Baker, from Detroit. We had a whole crew, but those were the main ones. You know what I'm saying? Got it. In 2620, really, big shout out to TJ and Randy. It was their house in Silver Spring, Maryland, we used to go to and hang out. And their mama was the coolest mama, Mama Diane. She used to let us come over there and just have a time. We were unmonitored and we just felt free over that motherfucker. His address was 2620 Blaine Drive. So that's what.
Got it. I was just about to ask. Okay.
Yeah. So big shout out to Garnett Wilkins. He went to high school at Wilson with me. He hooped with me. He was an original 2620. So, it was a brand. But I think people don't understand, like when you trying to get a name for yourself, it's awesome to have your friends with you. You can make money with your friends. And so, I was one of the first to do that, to your point, really putting people in pocket to make some money. Because I knew that we were stronger in numbers. You know what I mean? Like coming to Atlanta, being majority from D.C. and having the Detroit part of the crew, we were terrorists. Yeah. And we were going, you know what I'm saying?
And then was there anybody in Atlanta that you saw that you was like, obviously you saw the Freaknik dudes?
Nah, not at all. Because Alex, who AG Entertainment is now the king of, I
was just going to ask you about AG. Much respect.
And was the king. I think he's gone more into like AG touring, and big shout out to him. But he and I were partners in college. Wow. So before 2620 actually became the thing, our crew was already popping because we had all the girls and we, and then when Wendell, my man from Detroit, Wendell White, he was BMF before BMF. So he had every car and so it was a whole thing.
I was going to ask you about that too.
But Alex and I were introduced by Steve Solomon, who God rest his dead, was his man. And Steve, he was my OG from DC. He had Chicago's back in the day. Like he was letting us in the club early. So I had a love for him and appreciation for those days. And I ain't know the business. So I invited him to be a part of it. But as we started doing business the first 6 months, I'm like, he coming out here getting like $3-4 grand a week, his cut. So you could imagine what that's like in 1992, 3.
Hell yeah. How old are y'all at this time? Kenny, what you, 19, 20?
Yeah, I was 19. Wow. Yeah, so like we getting that type of money throwing parties and he's coming back and forth. And I'm just like, damn, hell nah. So I'm telling Alex, because Alex, that motherfucker would promote he was different. Like you could tell he wanted to get some money. Yeah. And so, I told him one night, I was like, look, the club owner is offering me the club. You my brother, I love you, but I can't get no more money to Steve. It was like it was a power move. Like I just couldn't, I just felt I was disgusted, and then Wendell, who came in a little later, he's my best friend to the day. We actually going on vacation, family vacation for 7 days on Saturday. But like he literally, legitimately brought so we could move. We would start doing concerts. We started bringing Redman and Method Man to the gym. So he was funding, a lot of the bigger things. We had the fucking Chronic tour at the Omni, which is now State Farm Arena. Yeah, we had that. Wow. We had that thing. So and
that's his 2620. That's the brand, y'all the promoters.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, got it. Okay.
Yes. But big shout out to Alex because we started together. Obviously, we made history again from 2006 to 2013 when I left to go launch Revolt. But we had another run that was incredible in the club as partners. But yeah, that's my man, 50 grand.
So, okay. So that's you in the party scene. That's 2620. That is early Atlanta, Georgia, you know what I'm saying? Kenny Burns. Or is this in DC? This early ATL, right?
This early ATL. Yeah, this is 92 through 95
Got it. So this is you from about 19 to 22, 23, around that age.
Yes.
So one thing that I know about you, Burns,
which by the way, though, B, that time we bought Biggie, Pac, the Chronic tour, which I mentioned, which ended up getting canceled because that's when the homie got into the thing with the boys.
Oh, the East Coast, West Coast.
No, that's when Snoop had the murder charge. It got canceled.
Oh, wow. Murder was the case. Got it.
So we ended up, we actually lost 18 grand back then on that. End up getting it back from the promoter because he.
And when you were doing this, you obviously at some point were doing this with labels. And that must have been.
We weren't doing nothing with labels. You
were straight to management.
We went straight to management, paying the artists. Because by the time, like I'm saying, from 92, 95, I had met everybody in the business. Every artist that was anything. I brought Jay-Z to Atlanta first. Like I did so much for Atlanta in the early days of grooming it to be like, you know what I mean? And people like to.
So what niggas would call you like, yo, Kenny, you got to hit this nigga, man. This nigga named Jay-Z. I'm going to send you this tape.
No, that's exactly what happened. DJ Clark Kent, I booked to do one of my parties. Clark Kent, what you know today is my big homie, spiritual advisor. Yeah. He said, I got this play. My man, they want you to be street team in Atlanta. I was like, all right, cool. So flew to New York, went to D&D Studios while they was recording Reasonable Doubt. Wow. Used to fly out there just to go to Maria Davis Mad Wednesdays.
Mad Wednesday. I know her son. Shout out to Scott D. Davis, my king.
So Jay had the song 22 Tools.
Man, too much West Coast dick licking. Too much on the mission. They're doing their best Jay-Z rendition. Hell yeah.
Yeah. So that era was like me getting to know them. This is prior to Reasonable Doubt. I'm coming up. We locking in like 95. What? You know what I'm saying? Like early 95. So Clark Kent also introduced me to my industry father, Andre Harrell. He's like, yo, I'm at Motown. This is what? So this is 95. He introduced me to Jay. 97. I'm on the run damn near because back in the day you used to fax your reports because I was on probation forever. So I had to fax my probation report. The people said they wasn't getting it, so they came looking for me in Atlanta. And this is 1997 or 96 going into 97. Clark was like, I'm like, dog, I gotta get back to DC for the, because extradition could take up to 6 months, all this stupid shit. Like, and I wasn't even on no gangster shit, nothing. I'm in business. Like, I'm really in the industry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I had worked for Rowdy Records at this time. Monica was starting to blow up. Like, I'm getting my name. So Clark goes to join Andre Harrell when he left Uptown to go to Motown. It was like, yo, we coming to DC, put a party together for Dre. I said, perfect, because I got to go home and see my lawyer. I'm in these little things, but I could do a party. Did a party. Andre Harrell, I've said this in many interviews. He was like, oh, shit, this nigga is, shit. Party was crazy. Hired me that Monday. Party was Saturday. He hired me Monday.
So listen, let me ask you this. I get excited. So somebody was to ask you, Burns, they was to say, yo, Kenny, what's the elements to putting together a fly party? I want to do a party. How do I do it? Obviously, I'm not you, but like, what are the elements there to make a fly party, man?
Yeah, like, I'm gonna keep it real. And I'm actually in the process of doing it right now on my Instagram. I am teasing this once a month that I haven't announced yet that I'll be coming to Atlanta June 1st. Okay. But you got to get people into a mindset before you even talk about the party. The one thing about the 2620 crew, led by Kenny Burns back in the day. I never talk about myself in third person, but I'm kind of going somewhere. But like it was a mindset. We had already loved on them. I'm talking about loved on them.
Yeah.
And it was not a thing of like, you don't know who they are. So if you have no presence in your market, you have no presence or track record of this type of loving on your people. And I mean loving on your people, showing up. When you come, y'all the deepest, y'all the flyest, y'all got this, the whips. Like something has to be attractive for people to see you. And I'm not necessarily got to go do nothing stupid to do that. We was doing it without no money. And we got some money, it just intensified. But I think you got to, you got to be them ones in your community first and foremost. Then I think every promotion should be centered around women. You know what I'm saying? I say black women to save the world all the time. I truly believe with all my heart. I've been married 25 years. You suckers could never. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like because the attention to detail is based on a woman and what she's going to think, how she's going to feel. There's an emotional connection. People have gotten married at my events. Like from being at my events, people have gotten to relationships, had children. You know what I'm saying? People have had the best time of their life, and it was with me. So if you have an emotional connection, that's why I'm 51 years old. I'm doing a party June 1st. Wait till you see even when I did cassette. You remember when I did cassette before the pandemic? I just wanted, and this is before anybody was doing R&B. So everybody in these markets benefiting on these R&B parties, less fights, more women, more cheeks. You know what I'm saying? If whatever you're doing, you need to thank Big Brother Almighty, because that wasn't happening before cassette. I don't give a fuck what nobody say. It was no, and before, here go the track record again that you got to have for somebody to believe you. Because pre-motherfucking the internet, people had to go tell somebody about you. I'm still being ran and talked about. It's like the fucking Pony Express. If you young niggas don't know what the Pony Express was, it was hand to hand, like the streets was back then, like passing out flyers was. But the bottom line is, it's like you going through these emotions of how you want to feel, but you scared to express them. I was playing Superstar. You could ask Usher. Usher came to me at Vanquish one night. Legendary story in Atlanta pop culture lore. He came to me. He's like, yo, why they don't really play my records in the club? I said, well, bro, they into it like this set driven kind of thing. You got New York, you got LA, you got reggae, and so it's sets. You remember that shit, B? It was sets. People were playing sets.
Absolutely.
And I was like, but I'm going to help you out, because I feel like slow songs should play in the motherfucking turn up hour. He was like, huh? I was like, yeah, you got more slow songs than you do fast, don't you? He's like, you're right. I promise you, next time this motherfucker came to the Gold Room, which was another club, not Vanquish, but we was at Vanquish, we had the conversation. He came to Gold Room. I played that. Yeah. And he saw the way that they reacted to his song, which Superstar was a B-side. Ladies and gentlemen, I know you saw it at the Super Bowl. I know you seen it at the Vegas show. He was not performing that song like that. Like, this would have been 15 years ago when I started this shit, he would not have performed that at the Super Bowl. I'm just telling you the power of real influence. And so when you look at that, I mean, the song I missed the most, and I'm going to say it publicly on your podcast, part of that set was like, my mind's telling me no. And then I thought about what the motherfucker, who he was talking to. But the point of the matter is, we took the feeling, brother. Yes, and I think if you guys can bring that feeling back, because all this stand up looking around, smoke weed, girls doing the gunshot references in songs, and your voice deeper than the dudes, and I'm not saying that, no, I'm not speaking to nobody that has that natural sound or you like whatever you like. I'm just saying in general, there has to be some type of order in the function. The tentacles can't kill you. You can't trip over double dutch trying to get to a woman and burn your ass with a coal. You know what I'm talking about? You got 42 motherfucking dudes in your section and 3 girls. Like, shit needs to have ratio. It's just, you know, you gotta really honestly care, you know?
It's a couple things that you said in that I want to point out. One, the fact that you've been with your queen for 25 years.
Yes.
Man.
25 years married in October. I've been with her 27.
Man, you right to your point. That's a different type of conversation that we have to have, being that you are in this life, right? Yeah. Like, it's one thing to have a wife for 25 years and you go home at 7 o'clock. You know what I mean? And it's another thing when you smell like how you smell, pause, and you run around here doing how you do. You know what I mean? So I commend you on that.
Thank you, brother.
On the other side of it, Kenny, like, you know, I had a conversation with you at one point about my mindset as a promoter, possibly looking at other people, right? You know what I mean? Where you may get into somewhat of a, mental, you may be jelly or something of that nature because somebody ain't got the sauce that you got, but they in a certain place. There used to be videos, Kenny, of you in the club at a certain time. This is like during the T.I. era. There's a lot of like little shit where I would see, you would be spazzing on cats, they would be spazzing, you know what I'm saying? Like, so basically I'm asking you in terms of like egos and things of that nature, and you dealing with some of the biggest, if not the biggest names in culture, because our culture is so new, at least American culture. Man, like, how did you deal with that, bro? Like being in the club with Sean Puffy Combs, but then you also having to appeal to T.I. or whoever, you know what I mean? Like, especially in Atlanta, of all places, I like to commend you for being here because I'm pretty sure you have been tested a lot in that city. Shout out to the A. Much respect to the A, but it's a lot of haters in the A too.
I wouldn't say tested. I would encourage everybody to show up as their authentic selves. I think that's transferable anywhere. And so I never had, if in speaking of the boisterous conversations you might have saw on the internet, like the thing with Puffin Out at Night. That's in my new documentary that I'll be announcing soon as well. WMM is what I've been referring to it as. But, you got to be authentically yourself. And there are times in life where you have to speak up for yourself, or someone's going to continue to speak to you a certain way or treat you a certain way. And I've always been able to assert myself at the right times in life. Now, pre-internet and camera phones, it was some gangster shit that went on. So, it's a lot that people know, like, all right, relax. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going, because, even in the footage you were referring to at the compound, it's like you can see all the moving around. But if you see the whole video, I was working my way to him. I wasn't the one he was even talking to. I was on the side. Then you could see everybody and their mom in between me and him trying to be like, no, wait. The only motherfucker that looked like he wanted to dive on me was BK Rule, but we didn't know each other then, and there's love and respect now. But I mean, it wasn't nothing happening. Yeah. And to be honest with you, in life, y'all got to always remember this. Cooler heads prevail. You know what I'm saying? The problem I think that happens with these young is they can't communicate. You see the way they text. You see the way they talk. So shooting and handling their business that way is the easiest thing to do. But I think back then you literally got to where you were by your mouthpiece. Pause. Like you literally had to use your words. You know what I'm saying? You had to really have some type of real skin in the game to even get the respect of the artists and caliber that you're mentioning. And I think too, when you're a thorough motherfucker, it's not going to define you. It's going to be a piece to your puzzle. And it was never definitive of who I was. My association, because you know this and they know it. Ain't half of them motherfuckers my friend. Ain't 90% of them motherfuckers my friends. A lot of that shit is transactional, which is okay. See, the problem is you be thinking you cool with a motherfucker because you had the time of your life in the club. You know what I'm saying? Or you might have gave him an alley-oop, or they might have gave you might even got on the jet and went somewhere and had a motherfucking time of your life. You know what I'm saying? Seen some shit you never seen, but I think that you're not supposed to be holding to that. Like you're not supposed to, you know what I'm saying, attach yourself to that in the way that you are defined by, because then when it's time to stand on your own, you feel weird and you feel less than.
So are you saying that you should have, or you should not have, certain expectations when it comes to dealing with people? And I'm going to say outside of just the stars, I'm going to talk about our industry as a whole. Yeah. Right? Kenny, for everybody from the music cast that me and you deal with, to brands that we deal with. Like I think I had heard you say, and I was actually there. I was there the first year that you hosted the B-Mac joint. Shout out to Prophet. Shout out to Sean Holiday and them. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You destroyed that joint, but like I was in there sitting beside like the Dre London cat, you know what I mean? That's dude who do Post Malone, you know what I mean? Like I know all these cats, much respect to dude, but I tried to tap him afterwards because we had such a good time. To your point, son hit me back with one little email. Oh, peace, God. Did I hear from him again? Absolutely not. But have I seen him in the streets since then? Yeah, I seen him out. And did I show him no smoke? Nah. Peace. What up? You know what I mean? So I'm saying, would you say to the youngins out here now, like, have a level of like, expectation when dealing with these people,
I think first and foremost, never let your expectations exceed your efforts. I think you have a certain expectation because of this good time or because this play you might have made. Me personally, I've given away way more information than I received, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? I've given a lot of free game. You know, I've given relationships. I've given all types of things for people because that's who I am.
Yeah.
People always say, well, why you tell them that? Because they're not going to do it like me. I could tell them the exact recipe, the exact way how I did it. Doesn't mean they're going to do it like me.
Where did that come from, though, Kenny? Where does that come from?
It comes from the confidence of knowing that I'm enough. And that if you're coming to me for something, it's something that I did that you want to possess, something that I have you want to possess. And I think you got to stand on it. See, it's not confusion when clarity is a part of your function. See, a lot of people act emotionally unclear. They put themselves in these motherfucking positions because they think they should, or their friend is in there. But some people ain't built for this shit. To your point about the industry, half these motherfuckers are suckers. You know what I'm saying? And do sucker shit. But if you were going to walk around and just be mad at every motherfucking thing, you wouldn't exist in this business. You wouldn't have one leg to stand on in this business. And that's what we as black men, we got to get outside of that emotional sphere.
But I
look
think
at the business.
One thing that, first of all, you talking the gospel and the church. But my question to you is like, and I'm going back to it. I already asked you, but where did you find it? Where did you find that confidence? And I'm speaking to you from aspect of being a young man. We outside, nigga. I got all the shit that anybody else would want, and I'm talking about myself and other young men.
Yeah.
But you may see somebody with a bigger car, right? Like, oh, I put my thing in my car, or I put my thing in whatever. I'm just asking you for when young men is out here trying to find that because they don't have no money. They don't have.
Yeah, I can get that. That's why I said never let your expectations, the thing you want, the one thing you thought you was in pocket for, don't let that, you know what I'm saying, exceed your effort, because it's like, it's the immediacy of not your generation, but the generation right under you. It's the immediacy of what you think you're supposed to have versus what you work for. The things you think you're supposed to have because such and such got it. Nah. And then with that, I'm cool with or without it. It didn't define me. You understand me? And I think that people really get caught up in the cycle of like, because even yesterday, the other day I went to Houston's. Yesterday I went to Houston's. And I go there so much. I do expect a certain level of take care of me. If I didn't have a reservation, whatever the case may be, but I can't also think about it either because I should have made a fucking reservation. You know what I mean? It's so easy to discern when you know what you should do. Yeah. And in life, you should know what you should do. You're not going to know everything you're like going to get at the end of the day, and you're not supposed to, because 9 times out of 10, the way your dreams start in your 20s don't end up the same way in your 50s. But you got to stay open to receive. You also got to get out your own motherfucking way when you're thinking about, okay, cool. Dreams are something that I want, but what do I need? I knew I needed a wife to even sustain life in this world. Because I'm too motherfucking passionate. That means I probably would have been with some foolery had somebody done me wrong early on. If I didn't have someone to think about, and then to have kids and have to honor and leave legacy knowing that mine wasn't intact from generation to generation, I'm not doing certain shit to fuck that up. And I made a conscious decision in my life. I won't always know where I'm going, but I know I'm going somewhere. But it's one foot in front of the other. It's taking the motherfucking wins and the losses, and more importantly, it's staying open to receive. How would I be where I'm at if I let everybody who disappointed me, you know what I mean, narrate my motherfucking movie, write my book for me? I'd be in jail or dead. If I was to let everybody tell me, oh no, you should do that. No, fuck with them bros. You don't need to be married. If I listened to everything they told me, I wouldn't be here. But you got to have an idea what you need in your process on your journey. For sure. Some people don't think about that shit till it's too late. Got it. No, that's a fact. And I wanted to ask you this, right? I know Naomi's over there like, who is this
gang? That's our producer. So one thing that I do know, right, is like if me and you go outside, and I say this often, if me and you go outside and we plant a flower and the sun hit it and we water it and all that, right? Me and you ain't got to pray about that, right? Like it's going to grow. The flower going to grow. I say all that to say, how important would you say your network was for you? How important was that? The proximity that you had to such great men, you know what I'm saying? And like, how did you have the know-how to be around these niggas? Or did that just happen by happenstance, you being in such great circles? At least it seems that way in hindsight, you know?
Yeah, I think it's intentional, and it always has been intentional. I know I'm favored. I know I'm blessed and highly favored. I know I'm God's
Amen.
child. I know that I'm here for a reason. And I know early on in my career, it was more evident than ever. I mean, obviously, I just had a miracle with my youngest son, who had 3 brain surgeries, and has moved on and back in college playing basketball. But early on, man, it was intentional. I took very serious. My aunt, I never forget my Aunt Lena, man, when I got locked up. She's like, I know. Because you got to look like money to get money, baby. But that ain't the way. She's like, if you could do that, you could do anything. And then in my mind, I started like, damn. But then it was about also, you got to think about who you're around. I was around career criminals.
Sure.
You go to jail, you come out, you meet a better plug.
Yeah.
You come out, you got better thing, you put it on the youngest, take it off of you. It's like, but that's the most detrimental shit that could ever be. You know what I'm saying? So you just growing the pyramid of victims. And I just had to tell myself one day I can't be around them people, man. And it became intentional. And when people showed interest in me, you know what I mean? I paid attention. You know what I mean? Like when Clark Kent wanted to just take me and go on the road to Shaq House, and Shaq and fucking Dennis Scott used to throw the best parties in Orlando when they was down there hooping. I'd be down there every 2 weeks. And it because of Clark Kent fuck with me and me being open to receive. Now this is my brother. He proposed to Keisha at my wedding in Jamaica. Wow. Like people don't even know my life. And I don't, I give bits and pieces because I love the discovery factor, but I'm ingrained in it, bro. I'm talking about the night Biggie died, I was on the mic at the Peterson Museum. I never take these moments in my life because they all been pivotal moments. I was on the mic when Hypnotized played 20 times. DJ Ace and fucking Ed Lover gave me the mic. It was over. It was over. That was the first time I was like, let me monetize this shit. This is 1996. I'm fucking at Motown Records, going to Motown Records. You know what I'm saying? I'm on my industry shit. But I really realized like, damn, I can really move people. Now mine's the first time in a bit, like every black superhero's in there. Every. You know what I'm saying? It's not like today. Back in the day, if you had a Soul Train party, every black superhero was in that motherfucker. It wasn't no other parties.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So this is a time where you don't even get that anymore. You're not going to one place where everybody is because everybody got their little sets.
Yeah.
It's the most clickish thing ever. But yeah, man. So I know I'm rambling. But.
So real quick, and we getting down to it, but I'm just, man, so much shit I want to ask you. So I'm going back to when you was kind of young because I just want to know the transition from when you went from doing parties to getting corporate real quick. Because I don't think people know that you're the person who found Monica.
Yeah.
And then
actually Kevin Wells found Monica, but
I finished,
I finished
and that you signed Wale. And that was years after that probably. But how did you get into the music? You already in the music industry, the community building industry, but how'd you get into the offices? So
I was promoting in the parking lot of 112, the legendary historic 112 in Atlanta, Georgia, 1994 4 or 4 going into 5. And a guy by the name of Dallas Austin, Dallas Austin's brother, his name is Claude Austin, and Dave Gates came up to me. And they're like, yo, man, you promote the shit out them parties, man. We done been through with Jermaine and Dallas and them because everybody came to the Funk Clinic Fridays at the warehouse. And so he's like, yeah, man, we got this artist named Monica, and she's had a song called Don't Take It Personal that we about to put out again. And I'm like, put out again? What do you mean? They're like, yeah, it didn't work the first time, but we got about to go for radio again. However it was back then. I think they tested it. It didn't test good. They didn't win again with more marketing and promo dollars and support. And I was like, sure, being open to receive. Know nothing about the music industry. I just know these motherfuckers came to me and said they like what I do. And I knew I promoted the hell out of the parties. I said, how hard could it be to promote an artist? And the next week, I was hired to do outside services for Rowdy Records. I had a salary of $19,000 a month. I think that was like $550 every 2 weeks. Okay. I was making so much money doing parties, I wasn't tripping. Yeah. But then the very next week after that, same parking lot, I meet the man who was responsible for the Black Expo. And the Black Expo back in the day was the biggest tour in the South. It was like Coachella in the South.
Got it. And that was like rappers like Common came through there.
No, it was everybody. It was the first thing held at a convention center size like Jack the Rapper or
Yeah,
something.
I'm very okay. Got it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so it was like vendors. You know how the radio stations do these events? They got vendors and performances. It was like that.
yeah,
But it was
yeah.
called the Black Expo. And so I got on the Black Expo. I was our hype man in the performances. And after that, she went from not selling any records to selling 2 million records on this thing. And then I was feeling myself. And simultaneously, Jay-Z, I had met Jay-Z and I talked about that briefly through Clark Kent. And they were starting a label and had a song or an album called Reasonable Doubt. And, we were going to set up, a street team just in Atlanta, but I ended up helping Ray set up street teams nationwide. They were paying me through Western Union. So I was in the music business. I had Monica and I was promoting Reasonable Doubt. And so I'm feeling myself and I'm telling Dallas, you about to pay me, I'm out. And so we in a meeting, he was ignoring me. I was like, man, fuck that nigga. And then one of the employees told him, I said, fuck that nigga. He fired me. And then it was up. I just felt like I had so much more to do. Again, the thing came to fuck with me about the reporting for my probation. Clark went to Motown, met Andre, got to Motown. I went from $60,000 a year in street team marketing promotions to $80,000 a year radio promo to $120,000 a year. And this is in a year and a half.
Jesus.
Cycle. I grew 3 steps or 3 phases on the monetary side in a year and a half with Dre. And I love this shit. But then Andre got arrested there, was trying to be like Puff instead of being his self and doing the things he did at Uptown to bring that energy and that class and that, the records to Motown. And he was about to leave. And he was like, you know what? The ship is sinking. If you want to roll, it's all good. So I then created the girl group Dream, second highest debut behind the Spice Girls ever. Same time, I'm just like, I'm wanting to do something from DC, you know what I'm saying? So I want to do something from DC, but I had an opportunity with this artist named Akon. I got the record from Divine Stevens. He was like, it's called Locked Up. You got to check it out. And this motherfucker was unreal. And I happened to be in LA with Steve Rifkin, staying at his house. Because all the bosses, when they meet fly motherfuckers and motherfuckers that's moving and they want to know you.
Yeah, for
so me and him got cool. And I was playing Locked Up every day. I never forget. He had a gray G-Wagon when the G-Wagons first came. He had a green SL and a green S. And gray. SL, the 500 and the G-Wagon. And then I was like, oh shit, I'm out here driving the car whips. We playing Locked Up. Flew to Atlanta in an ice storm. Signed fucking Akon. And then I was like, I got to sign something from DC. You know what I'm saying? This is all around the same time. And I wanted to sign UCB at Rockefeller Records because they had a song Sexy Lady. And Sexy Lady. And so, long story short, they didn't see the vision. My sister who owned Baller Alert, big shout out to Robin Lyon.
I talked to Robin today. Shout out to Robin. Yeah. Love.
Yeah, so she's like, it's this dude on the radio. He rap like shit. Joe. Like, you got to hear this, man. And I was like, all right, let me hear him. Come down there. And I heard Wale, and I was impressed by the rapping skills, but I'm not a backpack rapper.
Yeah.
And my whole dream for DC at the time was meshing go-go and hip-hop. Ooh. And Southeast Slim had did these records that dude wasn't even going to play me. And one of them was Dig Dug.
Wow.
And so I was like, we need more of this. Put him in the studio, pay for the first mixtape, Paint a Picture. Yep. Second mixtape, Hayes New Love. We got Dig Dug, One Thing About a Player. And as soon as that motherfucking One Thing, so Dig Dug was popping. And so I was like, well, let's take the method in the DMV, which, by the way, I think we created with Wale. Because before that, DC was giving me hell about signing a motherfucker from Largo, Maryland. And I was, who I was. So I was like, you should fuck with him because it's happening with or without you. And then we realized that DC, Maryland, Virginia was a bigger thing together. You know what I'm saying? Plus he was from Maryland. Maryland had a, whole brewing kind of thing. And then Virginia was brewing. And I'm not talking about past King's Dominion. I'm talking about. So anyway, it started happening. Then the next thing you know, Wale was getting $2,500 a show. He was doing shows 5 times a week in DC. Yeah. And then the movement started. But yeah, that was
Nike boots dropped. That Nike boots, that motherfucker was out of here.
He was gone. Nike boots came out, it was over. But they tried to, it was a lot of fun facts about that. And I talked about it in the other interviews before, but
Got
he
it.
did some whole ass shit. But we back cool.
Yeah. I actually, whatever. Shout out to, love. So real quick before
I tell the real.
I got two more questions, Kenny, that I got to ask you. One, I wanted to know, and this yet again another selfish one for me, in terms of BMF, right? You know what I'm saying? Like you living in Detroit when you was younger, and then obviously, being a part of some of their movement in Atlanta, and I love to I wanted to know what was the biggest thing you saw in the A from the BMF cats, like just out of curiosity.
I want to say this, and I want to clarify because people seem to think I was part of BMF. I've never been a part of that, and I didn't meet them until I moved back to Atlanta in 2005 or 4, whatever it was.
Oh,
it was the last year they were.
Oh, so you had dipped from the A. You had left.
I had dipped from that year. 96, I left. 96, I left, and I only came back to do spot things. You know what I'm saying? And I think when I came back in 98 with my wife. And we only stayed like a year or 2 maybe, and then we moved to LA. Kenny was born, moved to New York, Kyle was born. Then we moved back in 2005. So when I came back, man, I had been hearing, just like you saying right now, this pop culture lore about these motherfuckers from Detroit.
Yeah.
And mind you, Wendell, that's my partner, and he longest running member of the game ever. You know what I'm saying? I said member of the game, not game. And so, I'm like, who are these guys? And they talking about them, Jeezy, my friend Shakir Stewart signed Jeezy, and you hear about the affiliation in Jeezy's early days. And so I'm like, all right, cool. So I come home, crazy story. I go to Visions nightclub. Alex is like the man. He done built clubs. Since I left, he done went from parking attendant, promo man to fucking, Godfather of the city. Super proud of him. He's like, yo, get on the mic, man. Do what you used to do at the warehouse. Yeah. And I was like, all right, cool. So my first time meeting DJ Infamous, who is Ludacris's DJ, big shout to Inf. He on the mic, and they used to have this like perch kind of thing. It was a DJ. You had to climb up to the DJ thing, but it looked over the entire floor. And this night, BMF was in there 1 million people deep. And I had never seen it. People say they rolled deep, man. They moved like the FOI. Like it was, the stories was outlandish, right? So I saw Shake come in. I saw Jeezy come in. I saw Meech come. I was like, oh, shit. So long story short, they all get in the booth, and I'm rocking. I'm feeling good. So there's a bottle of PJ sent to the booth. And I'm like, oh, okay, shit. So I'm like, get the PJ. I was like, who the fuck is this? They're like, oh, Meech and them. I was like, oh, shit. I said, hold on. I said, one time for my light-skinned brother from another Meech, I see you, Detroit. What up, though? Or something. And then, dog, on Everything I Love, it was like everything stopped. And they all turned around like the FOI. I just said FOI. I'm talking about in unison, damn near. Raised up the PJ, Rose PJ, and was like, salute. And I was like, oh, shit. It was like the movement and how they was surrounding this dude, how they waited for him to turn around, and they turned around. It was like some shit out the Malcolm X movie, bro. Fucked me up. And then I saw him one more time. He had 2 German shepherds, pressed hair like Count Blackula, walking down Peachtree with like 20 motherfuckers behind him by the Intercontinental. And after that, he went to jail.
Wow, yo, that's legendary shit right there, bro. That's crazy, man. Now,
it's so good. Big shout out to Lil Meech. It's so good. That, it's one of my favorite TV shows, man. It's so good that his son got to benefit from his discretions, to be honest, and that he'll be coming home to something, because so many people with that type of bread and that type of energy, they just be, if they come home to like. I
want to say this. I want to thank you real quick. I had alluded to this earlier when we were talking, but I just want to give you a shout out, on this platform. Man, thank you, man. Like just, I was in a very interesting place that time that I talked to you on the phone, and I don't know if you remember this, but I had called Kenny probably. It had to have been 2020. It had to be in COVID. It had to be in COVID. I was going through a really, really interesting time. You know what I'm saying? Like things was very kind of bad for a nigga at the time. And I never forget, man, you poured into me for hours, man. Like I want to say we talked on the phone for like 2 hours because I walked up and down this street. Like I remember I walked up and down the street and Man, I just want to thank you so much for that. And it was about comparison. You just kept telling me to believe in myself and all these little things. And you know, when you hear these things, it's like listening to a pastor that ain't never really been outside. It's kind of hard for me to listen to somebody who hasn't had those
experiences,
trials and tribulations
life
or whatever have you, you know, and it coming from you, somebody who has, you know, paved the way for a lot of us in this community building space, man. Like, and for you to take the time, because it wasn't like you was, you know what I mean? Like, bro, you just took the time, and I truly appreciate you for that, man. And I think about it often, like, just because I share it with young kings now, right? Yes. So just thank you. You know what I mean? I just had to make sure I give you a shout out for that, man. I
appreciate the words, man. And more importantly, what you just said, it's like, you know, I poured into you, someone that you might have admired and looked to, didn't know how they were going to treat you or react to you, giving you that time. And that time clearly was all you needed. Yeah. And for you to just say, you know what I'm saying, that you've done the same and are doing the same, that's what it's about, bro. Yeah, like this game, we are taught not to love. We are taught not to feel. We are taught not to, you know, to hoard all the information and access to the things. And it's like, nah, that's not real community. Real community is taking the time. And what you'll learn, be on your journey, man, it'll be God. You be like bugging out, like, how I just, you know what I'm saying? Like, fuck around and bump into this. No, you intentionally have been putting in the work. The work is service. That's what another thing I would encourage all your listeners and followers to really understand, the value in service. And service without reward. You know, we think that we're supposed to get something all the time. Bro, I couldn't even name all the times I gave away stuff for free. I'm talking about to this day. I never, like, my sister always, why don't you just sell your shit on the real? I was like, why? Like, when it's 20 mentees that wear my size, or people that, you know what I'm saying, like, need it, you know what I mean? And all it's going to take for that one night of confidence to show up and show out, and next thing you know, they on. Because that's how it happened for me. I was ready when the light shined. I was ready when the motherfucker said, come on. You know what I'm talking about? And I defined success for myself along the way. And I encourage everybody to do that too, bro, because success for somebody else might not look right on you. Their path and journey might not be cool for you. You might not be able to stomach something. So I guarantee you, 90% of the motherfuckers that want to be in my shoes could never walk in them. It's hard, bro. It's hard not having a father growing up. It's hard not having, you know, and dealing with your own people. Look, you know what I mean? Like, dog, like, it's real out here, and you gotta find your village. And so I hope we all, you know what I'm saying, while we have time on this earth and life to live on this earth, find our village, bro.
Man, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you, good brother. You know, I'm going to hit you right after this real quick just to thank you again. You know what I mean? But matter of fact, before I let you go, real quick, sorry, y'all. And since we was talking about love, I try not to do like too much recent shit. But what's your thoughts on this whole, if you tapped into this whole Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole thing, and I know you somebody who always speak on love, what's your thoughts on Cole's what he did yesterday?
Yeah, I love it. I felt like a big homie proud. Or type of pride, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like, because what we don't realize is the power of words. And I think in that moment, Jay realized his power of his words. I mean, he was talking stick talk and guns and all type of shit as metaphors, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you got crash dummies that go on the internet and say whatever. You got crash dummies that might not get the word from you that it's good for real, because he clearly said in the 7-minute drill that he love and respect the dude, but I'm with the shits, you know what I mean? And I think, you know, signals get crossed and then shit happens, you know what I mean? And then even for the whole, you know, Kendrick thing, you know, he affiliated, not that he gang bangs, but you just never know what comes out of it. And I think it was responsible. I think it's where hip hop needs to be. I think battle rap can have snaps instead of the gunplay references, snaps meaning joning or wherever you're from, however you say it. But I think it was smart. And I think it was the best thing that could have happened for hip hop, to be honest with you, because we got to be able to be men and say publicly at his crib, at Dreamville, because he could entice the crowd to go his way. That was J. Cole. They were there to see J. Cole. It was Dreamville. He was in his hood. Yeah. He chose, you know, to be a man. And that's being a man. A man ain't being a sucker by admitting you wrong. That's a man's man. That ain't he ain't soft. You know what I'm saying? Anybody can shoot a fair one. Half you suckers don't even want to shoot fair ones. Half you want to just be ignorant. You know what I'm saying? But that's not real life, man. Back in the day, you fought. You got up the next day to tell a story. You got up the next day to be better, do better. You know what I'm saying? That's what they call it, a fair one. But y'all want to just be, you know what I'm saying, ignorant, man. So, but I wish everybody clarity on their journeys, because I guarantee you when you clear, you don't act out. You know what I'm saying? So get off the drugs, get off the pills, get off all the things that keeps your mind blurry. Alcohol. Look, I'm in the spirits business. I'm not telling you to drink every day, though.
Yeah, and that's why I'm glad that you ended on that, because I wanted to say, is there any last things that you would give? Yet again, this is for young promoters, young queens that's out here bringing their community together. Is there any last words you would like to say to us, you know, as we continue on our journeys?
Absolutely. Entrepreneurs, show up as your authentic self. You're better received that way. When you think about partnerships, align yourself with brands that are like-minded brands. You will never see me align with the brand that I don't agree with or haven't participated in on some level. I think that's just better long-term for you, and people will know how to approach you. Also, make yourself an entity that you can put yourself in any situation that you want to be in professionally. Don't be pigeonholed to just being a host on stage. You might have a great artist quality, but you might fuck around, find out that you're better in a sit-down interview setting. You know, be open to receive, because a lot of us are closed-minded, which what we think we're good at, but you never know what you're good at until you try many things. So I wish you the best on your journey. And at the end of the day, know that the dream is real.
The dream is real.
If you'd like to follow me for more inspiration, motivation, and education, at Kenny Burns on all platforms. And the Kenny Burns Show podcast is wherever you listen to podcasts. I wish you the best on your journey. Love.